Global Socialpreneurs is brought to you in part by Positive Talk Radio, KKNW 1150 AM in Seattle. Check them out at www.positivetalkradio.net.
Welcome to Global Socialpreneurs, a one-of-a-kind talk show showcasing expert social entrepreneurs. Learn their stories and their secrets to creating a sustainable impact. Now, here are your hosts, social entrepreneurs Ann Scotland and SHAMETRIA Gonzalez.
Hi, and welcome back, everybody. So happy to have you here with us today on Global Socialpreneurs. Hi, SHAMETRIA.
Hi, Ann.
Looking so happy and perky today. I am excited about this show today. And again, thank all of you who are watching. We appreciate having you here. Please like, please subscribe. We're streaming live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. And this is a conversation about socialpreneurship. So many people don't know what social entrepreneurship is. If you ask 100 people on the street, maybe one, probably none, can tell you what it is. But social entrepreneurship, as I define it, and as SHAMETRIA defines it, is a for-profit business that is built and designed to help solve a social or environmental problem. So it's a for-profit business. This is what's different from a nonprofit business. Whereas nonprofit businesses are primarily dependent on donations and sometimes only on things like government grants, a for-profit social initiative is something that's run like a business, started like a business, it has a business plan, and its intention is to make money to support the cause that that leader is passionate about. So I'm a social entrepreneur. SHAMETRIA is a social entrepreneur. As you've learned along the way, she has more than one. And we love interviewing amazing guests here who can share how they got started and how they're making an impact.
Yes.
So, yay. So we'll just get started without further ado. Today, I am going to introduce the formal introduction to our incredible guest, and then I'll let SHAMETRIA introduce her even more. So Ashlee LaFavor is a social entrepreneur, and she works to solve challenges faced by homebound patients. I love this. We've never had a guest, a social entrepreneur, that was specifically this topic, challenges faced by homebound patients. She has helped revolutionize care for homebound people in her community through her innovations in non-medical home care. I'm so interested to even hear what that is exactly.
Yes.
Ashlee has been featured in Forbes, Voyage, Creating Change, and SHEIs magazines. And her home care agency has been awarded Best Home Help Agency within her community. She's also a mother, author, and speaker. Let's welcome Ashlee LaFavor.
Hi.
Hi, Ashlee.
Ashlee.
Hello. Thank you, guys. I'm so excited to be here on the show today.
We're thrilled to have you here, Ashlee, and I'm so excited about the topic that you have today and the impact you're making. But first, you two know each other, I think. SHAMETRIA?
Yes. So Ashlee is one of my dear friends. She is a mentee / mentor. We have this beautiful arrangement where we just hold each other accountable. I've known her for a while, and I've come to her in my own times of needs, and she's done the same. And I think that we both are social entrepreneurs, but leaders that never get a break or a day off. And so when we talk, it's like vroom, 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 next. And we always start with like one thing and then we end with prayer. So she is my sister from another mother. She's also a woman who's up and coming in this industry. You better watch out, because she has revolutionized home health care and helping, like, she really cares about what she does. She could probably be a multi-billionaire by now, but she decides to do things the right way and to really take care of her patients and take care of the individuals that do the projects with her in order to be able, like, she's not just going to give anybody this information. She has to know their why. And that's what it is with me and what I do with the women that are, when we house them, I need to know why you want to do this. So that's where we connected. And I'm just so grateful to have you on the show. Ashlee, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here. And, you know, as SHAMETRIA said, you know, we hold each other accountable. And, in community, we need that. We all have to have that person that just, holds your hand and just keeps you pushing through. So I'm really excited to be here.
That's amazing. So, Ashlee, you've been in the medical industry for almost 15 years. So, you know what you're doing, you know how it works. Tell us a little bit about where you discovered this need for something different when it comes to the care that homebound patients can receive.
So I used to actually be a caregiver myself. And so I started in home health care field in 2008. And so at that time, I was working for home care agencies. I started off doing the caregiver work. And then I also got a promotion with doing admin work at the time. And I seen the complaints of a lot of the patients, just hearing them just frustrated with, not having that proper, bedside assistant, or not having the right caregiver matchmake with, their personalities. It was just based off skill sets. And so I heard it so much that I was like, what needs to change about this? And why isn't the agencies doing anything about the situation? And at that time, as I began to transition within the field and just working with different families and hearing the complaints, I decided to transition. At the time, I was working for an organization that built the company, but lacked with caring for the patient. And so I brought the concern to the owner at the time, and it didn't go so good. They didn't want to hear my feedback. And I didn't take that as a bad thing. I took it as a lesson learned at that time. And that was when it came to me that you need to be the change that you want to see in this field in order for these people to be secure at home, for families to know that they have the proper care. And that's how I got started in it.
Wow. Oh, and I think you might be muted.
I am muted. I love that. I do that. It's like, this is the new genius thing I do. I leave myself on mute. So I love that you saw a need and decided that you could do something about it. Even when you took it to the powers that be and shared that there were challenges and problems that could be solved, they weren't interested, but you didn't let that stop you. You said, how can I go in here and how can I create change? So what were some of the things, the ideas or the practices that you were able to integrate to improve the experience for these people, patients that were homebound?
One of the main things is caregivers being overworked and underpaid. I was one of those caregivers, and I noticed that the turnover rate in the industry with keeping caregivers was that, caregivers didn't feel appreciated. They feel like, hey, we're putting the work in, but we're not getting paid, enough to even sustain their own family. So I understood it from that need. And then I also realized from the client base is they didn't know a lot of times who was coming into their home. And so I created my matchmaking skills, is what I call it, for caregivers, and said, what if we match people based on their personalities? What if the CEOs come from behind the scene and actually go and meet with the families, get to know the family, interact with them when they first meet them, not just take the referral because it's a referral, but say, hey, let me come out and meet you, get to know you, and then also set up another meeting with them to have that one-on-one personal time with that caregiver to see, hey, do we match, with this person to be in our home? And so when I started implementing that, it was a game changer in the industry, because a lot of people were trying to figure out, how are you keeping caregivers, and how is it that these families are just so excited with their caregiver? And that was when I got feedback from my clients, and they were saying, wow, I was so happy to, meet with this caregiver before them starting. They were able to show them around their home. They were able to even have, like, if it was their mother or their father, to interact with that caregiver at that time to just kind of see how their personalities matched. And it also helped the caregivers. The caregivers was like, wow, I actually get to see who I'm going to visit. I know what tasks and duties I'm going to do. So they felt more comfortable with going to work, and the client felt more safe with knowing who was coming in their home, who the person was going to be doing the job. And it just changed everything. So just that interaction.
That's incredible. I mean, I wish you were in my city, because I have a family member right now who is in desperate need of this. They've been in skilled nursing facility for a while, and now they're in a home health environment that is temporary. So they're going back home in the next 6 weeks, and their spouse is really concerned about who's going to be coming into the home. And it's not a difficult patient, but a challenging personality.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't like people.
There you go.
Right. There's a good one for you. So how do you, finding a way that, if nothing else, it puts them at ease instead of on guard? Because I know in the home health situation they're in now, when the people are doing their best as a team, but the personalities are a terrible clash. It's this very shy patient, very shy introverted patient with a very loud, bombastic caregiver. Now, there's nothing wrong with having good energy, but for them, it's this huge disconnect, and it stresses the patient out and stresses out the caregiver. So this is incredible what you're telling me. This makes me so happy. There is such a thing out there. Last little question here, because I just dying to know. So tell me a little bit more about what you mean by, in case for our viewers, non-medical home care. What does that look like, and what is that comprised of?
So non-medical is where a nurse is not required. It's no skilled need, meaning there's personal care services, companionship, and homemaker, where not every person needs a nurse. They just need a home health aide or a CNA or a caregiver. You can use any of one of those titles. And what they come in, their job is to come in and help with daily living activities in the home. So I may not need a nurse to give me, meds and things like that. I just need someone to, hey, come in and help me do light housekeeping, or give me a bath, or prepare my meals, or take me out in the community and do things, just having someone else to maybe replace that daughter that's not there at that time, because maybe your daughter's out working. So the caregiver comes to just fill that space and just assist you around the home.
And one of my biggest questions is, because when I know, I've dibble dabbled in real estate, and I've dibble dabbled in connecting women that had been trafficked to proper resources. A lot of that does get billed through insurance for medical professionals. So my question to you is, how do you, if you're coming in on a personal basis, how do you get that type of income from them? Like, is it through Medicaid, medical, or is it like private funds, like they pay cash? How does that work for you in your business?
So it's both. So there's a lot of programs. So I work with primarily a lot of insurance companies. And so they have what's called long-term care programs for companies like us, the non-medical. Skilled can use it as well, but the difference is, of course, the care need will change when it comes to the credentialing part. So you get credentialed with the insurance company to offer long-term care services to that patient. And then that's when you also become now a partner and help to doctors or rehab facilities or assisted living facilities. So now you're not only just helping people that, like you say, can't afford private pay, but hey, I can also meet your need, and it could be covered under insurance. And so how it works with insurance, a lot of times people don't know that that non-medical service is offered to them to just get, a companion sitter. What qualifies you to get reimbursed for it is it just has to be a medical need for that person, So it could be a dementia patient. It could be someone that's, had a stroke. It doesn't even have to be a senior. It can be someone like me and you that have gotten in a car accident, and now you can no longer do the normal everyday living things that you need. And guess what? You can qualify for, to have an aide to help you and to get the services in the home. So there are Medicaid. I don't do Medicare, but there are Medicare plans that cover, but primarily we do full-time Medicaid. We do state Medicaid. They have Medicaid waiver program, which are more government funded. So you partner with the government and kind of apply for those waiver programs. And then they have, people that's on those. You also can even be a vendor within your state, where you partner with the state, and you have like court regulated situations where some people are in other kind of guardianships to where they need what you offer. And then you have the private pay people as well.
Ashlee, to all of our social entrepreneurs out there who don't have a way to break into the market. Like Ashlee literally teaches you how to do this from the ground up. I'm learning something sitting here like, what? You know,
and it's not just for seniors. We also care for children with medically complex special needs too. So
wow.
children's also qualify for a lot of these services. And that also was a help because a lot of moms, you know, had children that was suffering with autism. And, you know, they were like, what else can be done outside of just what they're getting at school? And so our caregivers can go to the school and assist that client. They also can help them at home. It's so much out there, and it doesn't have to require a nurse. It's just aid work.
Wow. That's beautiful, Ashlee. And I think that the business part, we normally like talk a little bit about the business and go straight into like the social initiative. But I mean, this was just so informative, and your cause, like, I don't think you really understand. I was a foster child with dyslexia, crack. I was born with crack on my side, all these complications, ADHD, and their remedy was like pills and medicine. And it wasn't have somebody come in that matches my personality type that can maybe just sit there with me and help me read my sentences because they can say them for me. Because I get so frustrated trying to read a book and I don't see it the way that it should be seen. So it's these little things that I think about, that if we had your services, or if people knew about what it was that you could offer, a aid, a help, mate, even when you think about elderly, when we have parents getting older, just having somebody there with them because their daughter's gone, but they had a stroke, they can't move their arm. They don't need medical, so that part is just amazing to me. But there's even more that you do. So you started this group for women, and I know there's two phases to it, because I'm actually going to join your prayer group one day and just do that. We do that on our own individually, but the group for women that started off with teaching them, and then it went into coaching, and then it went into like mentorship. Like, how did that transition of like, okay, I'm doing this, but I want other people to eat too. I want other people to do this because I can't do this by myself. I want to pay it forward. How did that transition look for you?
The transition for me with wanting to mentor people in this field was, if God gave it to me, they can too. That was my mindset with it. And I realized that a lot of women had this, and men too, because there's some male caregivers out there too, that they really truly wanted something more. They wanted to expand in different areas. Some people had desires to go to school for nursing and things like that. And I'm like, what if they just know that, hey, you don't have to just be the person at the bedside. You can also own an organization, and you can even push your mission more to help, because we all carry something different. So every caregiver I've encountered, they've all had some type of experience, whether it's personal in their life or on jobs, that they're like, I want to see changes in this area. And I was like, if I can just show them how to unlock what they already carry within their skill sets, whether it's caregiving or a nurse, hey, you can build this business, and you can also bring other leaders behind you, because we're all leaders. I think sometimes we lack telling people that, hey, you're a leader too. You may be an employee, but you also can be an employer, and you're a leader as well. And you can carry both. And so when I started pouring that into people, I started to see it unlock this part of them that they're like, oh my God, I need this. And it really was able to help other families, because I realized, Ashlee, it's a lot of families that need help. Well, one agency can't service everybody. So once I started realizing that was my why for saying, no, let me help bring other leaders up. They can build a company. They can build great revenue for their generation, their field of whatever they want to do. And they can also bring other leaders within them. And then a lot of them have, more experience or more skill sets. And I show them how to even take that, like my nurses or people that's in the nursing field. I always push them and say, you have so much advantage, and you don't even realize how you can help on a whole wide range of service. And so they don't know it. And once they realize it, they're like, wow, so I can work at the hospital during the night, but I can also build this business and pay it forward in my community as well, outside of just working at the hospital.
Yes. Oh man, that's good. I'm just that my mind is like over here ticking in. I'm just like, oh, I
can't. there's just so much. I mean, it's so beautiful. So let's see, how did you when did you decide that you could use the business you're already using to help fund the social initiatives that you're doing? Which came first? Because this is how we talk about as social entrepreneurs. I'll rephrase that. So, and one of our guests recently said this, and I loved it. They said it doesn't have to come in a certain order for social entrepreneurs. Kind of like the chicken and the egg, right? It's like, okay, you can have a business and then decide to use a certain percent of your profits to fund the social initiative that you choose, or you can decide, as our guest last week, he found a social initiative and then he figured out a way by reverse engineering to create a business with money. He actually invented a product in order to fund his social entrepreneurship. So tell us a little bit of just like, how did that evolve for you?
For me, how it evolved. Wow. I can hit on a few things.
That's fine.
I will say it evolved first. I guess I didn't look at the revenue part of it, to be honest. I just looked at, I seen this vision of a pack of people and change. Like that's it. And it reaped me the rewards behind it. I didn't look at it, and I know everyone has their view of things when they get into things, but I never got into it to think about the revenue, you know, how much money I was going to make or whatever. I just seen the change. And I just said to myself, and I always use the term is I served my way to the top. You know, a lot of people say I hustled and I worked hard, and I'm like, no, I served my way to the top. You know, even when we expanded the company, I started with 1 location and expanded to 3 locations. I did that by serving. I didn't have to do a lot of marketing because I was the market. You know, I was the person that was doing the administrative duties. I was caring for the patients. A lot of times people thought I was a housekeeper. Like they will come into some homes and they're like, oh, she's just a housekeeper, you know, whatever. But I always still dressed professionally. I showed up as if that caregiver and that boss at the same time. So I knew when to be the servant and then when to be the leader. And so my family spoke for me. You know, I didn't really have to speak for myself. They spoke, and same thing. I poured that same thing into the caregivers. And then the caregivers became the magnet as well, because I couldn't have done it without them, you know, from the way they would show up with their uniforms on, you know, to they would take their clients out in the community. A lot of our referrals would come from them saying, hey, I've seen this caregiver out with, you know, their client, and, you know, I'm looking for this service for my mom or dad. And that was a referral. So it just flowed naturally, to be honest.
That's amazing. No, but I mean, and your attention to detail, your attention to the quality of care, so that your clients are getting the highest version of professional services. It's not just like, oh, I got to go do this job today. It's like the people you work with, including your caregivers, they're more invested because of how you're set up with the client, how you're paired with the client to begin with. As opposed to, you know, literally that feeling of kind of a clock in, clock out. Oh gosh, I just saw, you know, 10 people today or whatever, which is way too many, but I know, you know what I'm saying. So that's amazing. That's amazing. You saw a need, you went for it. I love that you said you served your way to the top, which is getting featured in Forbes magazine. Right. This can be from service. And this is me jumping on my social entrepreneur bandwagon again for a second, which is, you know, we don't have to just be entrepreneurs anymore. We can be social entrepreneurs. It's win, win, win. All the popularity of being a social entrepreneur or just an entrepreneur, you know, like in past decades, and people I graduated from high school with who were, you know, went into Silicon Valley or whatever, and it was like how much money they could make and how successful they could be and what car they were driving and who they were dating. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with ambition. but the idea that you can still use the gifts of drive and of creativity that you've been given and apply them to a business and apply that to a social initiative is beautiful, because one, the clients benefit, the people in your business benefit, the people on the receiving end of the service benefit, you benefit, and even people who contribute to the business benefit because they're getting a blessing back, if you will.
And so everybody's winning basically at that point.
It's really everybody's winning. It's less us versus them. It's less like I'm just about, do I get a private jet out of this, as opposed to, can I live a comfortable, reasonable lifestyle that I enjoy? And also, can I make a tremendous and long-term impact, something that is replicable, something that is sustainable? So I love that.
Yes. And I like to say, Ashlee, that I always try to find things within what people are doing organically that really, really resonate with the social entrepreneur. The last lady that we had, it was more so like she wanted to provide financial freedom to women. And so she offered her services free. And I'm like, for social entrepreneurs, they have such a hard time with, like, how do I do that? How do I become this? You saw a need in the marketplace for individuals on both sides. You saw that, for one, people that needed the healthcare or the service care that you provide weren't getting it. And then the people that were doing it were underpaid. So you found a way to make them have a better payment, not only a better payment, but to own the company. You kind of reverse engineered your social initiative. Of course, you have the women's ministry. She has a podcast. She does all this other stuff. But even with this business model, I never looked at it like that. But it's like your social entrepreneur initiative was formed before you even made $1.
That's right.
People with these two things, and because you're able to help them, now they're thriving and they're doing all this amazing work, and you've solved two problems at once, and then gave them tangible resources and a whole game plan on how to do it. I mean, right. I admire that.
And that is so true, because it helps. I think when people realize, you got to look at, even the doctors say it, they're like, I always tell people, even when they try to market, I'm like, you don't have to sell anything to people. You come in, it's a relationship. How can I help you? How can you help me? And so even when I would tell them, when they're going to organizations to share what they offer, don't just go to a doctor and say, hey, I want to, pitch my agency to you. Learn what did that doctor do? What insurance do they take? Do you take the same insurance that they take? And then once you realize that and say, hey, I'm in network with what you take, you're in network with what I take. And I know that when your patient leaves from your care, they also need care at home. So how can I also help them in their home life to help you when they come back to you? So it's a give and take situation. And so when I realized that was working and it was a help for the client, the organizations I was partnered with, it made the social workers' life better. It made us happy. It made the caregivers. I mean, caregivers were for once excited to go to work, and they enjoyed going to work. They stayed at work because they were comfortable with the home they were in. They became family with the family. So now we're not just creating a job, we're creating a family relationship with people. It became healing as well for the families. So it's a win-win situation. And the reason why I share it about service, because if you base your business or anything you're doing in the community on a revenue stream, when that revenue's not coming in or something happens, well, guess what? Your ambition is going to go, because now your focus is that. But if you think about the people, you're going to always stay hungry for it, because in the back of your mind, it's about them, and I have to help them and they have to help me. So that's how you produce the fruit.
Wow.
Oh, I love that. There's so much that social entrepreneurs can take from everything you've shared already. Do you have one bit of advice that you would give to other social entrepreneurs who are either already out there working or who are looking to start something new from the bottom up, whether it's how they organize or structure their business, how they manage their finances or their time? If you could share one thing that you've learned along the way to help another social entrepreneur, what might that be?
I will say get a team. Get a team and learn to delegate with your team, because your team is what's going to help you know, a lot of us have big dreams and visions, and it can't be a one-man show. And I think sometimes we can be prideful and we just think, I want to do it and it's my way, and don't allow your title to dictate what you're serving.
I love that. That is such a great and straightforward answer. Thank you. That's perfect.
I like simple. Simplicity makes it easy for me. That's like, boom, got it. Okay, get a team. Same thing.
That's right.
Get you a team.
So SHAMETRIA usually asks the question about how you take care of yourself. I'll let you word that, SHAMETRIA.
Yes. So for all of our dear listeners out there, most of them are like us. We are entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs that cannot take a day off. We are leaders. And so one of the things that we have to do is take care of ourselves, because if we're not good, nobody's good. So my question of the day, the last question that we always ask is, what do you do to take care of yourself? And what advice do you have for other social entrepreneurs so they can do the same?
One, have a schedule, and set your schedule around everything that's in your life. If it's your family, your children. So I have a time, you know, like you book your to-do list for your business, make time for everything in your life. And that's including myself. And so prayer is my number one key. Okay. I can't start my day without prayer. That's what keeps me, you know, adjusted. And journaling, I write my thoughts out, so that allows my mind to reset and focus. And I always treat myself to something. I don't care what it is. I'm treating myself to something today. I don't care if it's coffee. I don't care what it is. So I always try to be intentional, but just setting a schedule will help you balance yourself and knowing you deserve it. Like, you don't always have to be on autopilot and work mode. It's okay to say, hey, my schedule is cut off at this time and that is it, and put it down, because guess what? It's not going to change from today to the next day. So, right. And so I just make that time for myself and even my children. You know, I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old son. And I always make sure I set time to have conversations with them. Hey, let's go get ice cream. Let's go for a walk, you know, and still not neglect them, you know, and give time to myself, and then back to business, you know.
I love that. That's beautiful. Beautiful answer, and so true. And I celebrate that 100%, because it's so easy for us as entrepreneurs, as social entrepreneurs, and as women, wives, mothers, whatever, on top of that, to put ourselves at the bottom of the list, as opposed to, if you think you're running a business that uses a lot of equipment, if you want the best business and the happiest customers, you're going to pay for top-notch equipment, and you are going to take care of it. You're going to get it serviced. You're going to do all the stuff, keep the wheels greased, right? That's right. So the same as us, like, we can only give what we have. And I, for one, have many times let my reservoir run dry and tried to work, you know, and a dry gear is not a happy place. It's a squeaky place. I could make a whole story out of that.
We all can with that one.
Taking care of ourselves is so vital so that we can maximize the love, the generosity, the clarity of thinking it takes to be a servant leader.
Yes.
I love that. Yes. Wow. Thank you so much, Ashlee. It has just been a dream to have you here today. And I'm so excited about the work you're doing. I'm sure we'll be in touch again, because this is incredible. And I love to share what you're doing and promote it. And just the example you're setting for everyone is incredible, including us. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to all our viewers today for coming to Global Socialpreneurs. Please like, subscribe, click on our playlist, and discover many of the episodes you might have missed. Other incredible people doing incredible and inspiring things as social entrepreneurs. And we are always streaming on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. That's 9 a.m. Pacific. So please like and subscribe. Come back. We'll see you again next week. Be kind to yourself and to others. Bye-bye.